Vinny, can we start with McGovern then? Can you give us some word on him?
Yeah, so Gov's progressed through his rehab really well. So he's going to main train today, and we're confident he'll get through and be available, which is great.
What sort of boost does that give the boys back there? Because they've been under siege, haven't they?
Yeah, look, when you get a player of Jeremy McGovern's calibre, you're always happy to take him. He's a 6-time All-Australian. He's our vice-captain, so not only does he's great the way he plays, but his leadership is really important to our team.
And have you made a decision on Tim Kelly?
No, we haven't yet. We're still going to work through it. So we've got main training after this. We've worked really closely with Tim and been really clear on what parts of his game we need him to improve in. And Tim's a terrific player. He's an incredible player for the last few years of our footy club, and won the best and fairest a couple of years ago. So he's really important to us, and we need to get him playing back up to his level.
And the way the midfield went, did that influence you, do you think, in this decision this week?
We understood there was a challenging area of our game last week. We were clearly young in that area, and it's always an ongoing battle that we're going to have.
I guess a lot of fans were hoping Tim would go back to Waffle level, dominate there and get a quick recall. How tough has it been for him that it didn't quite work out that way?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by dominate. We don't really judge our players just on kicks, marks and handballs. It's just a really simple way of viewing the game. So I think there's more to it that we look for in the behaviours and the actions, and the outcome will be the outcome. We look at it a bit differently to some others.
Yep. And how's he handled the news of having to go back and earn his spot again?
Yeah, he was really disappointed, as I hoped he would be, and expected he would be. But he really took it on the chin, trained well in the Waffle program last week, and went about it the right way, the way he attacked that game on the weekend. So he's been around for a long time. His journey of football has been a difficult one. He started when he was a bit older. So, he's a mature guy and a good leader for our footy club.
In the pre-season, Minnie, he said that he'd fallen out of love with footy, or he needed to get his love back for footy. Are you seeing that that's starting to happen, that he's starting to love footy again, or where's he at with it?
Yeah, I think it's, in my opinion, that was taken out of context a little bit, Tim's words there. I think he's a competitor who loves winning, and he hasn't been able to win a lot of games in the last few years. So that's where it's hard for anyone to enjoy not winning. That's what we all want to do. So I think that's where his comments mostly lined up. He still loves this game.
You saw Brady Hoff get quite emotional after the Carlton game post-match. Are you concerned that the toll on the players, particularly the ones that have come through over the last few years, it's an emotional toll with the amount of losses that they've had?
Yeah, you could look at this both ways, couldn't you? I certainly understand your point and your question, but for me, I loved it. I love that he cares so much, that he's emotional and doesn't want to be in this space. And I think everyone that's seen Hoffy play over the last few years shows just how much passion and care and want he's got to improve. So I love that about Hoffy, and he's a great leader. He'll be a great leader for our footy club for a long period of time.
Is there a chance to see Luca Greco potentially come in this week?
Yeah, so he'll be in the mix for sure. Last 2 weeks he's played in the midfield through the Waffle program, and he played a little bit there as a junior, but he did spend most of the pre-season as a halfback, so he's learning a new role. Some great signs last week that he's playing at Waffle standard, or maybe even above Waffle standard, which is what we want our players to be able to do.
Just further to Sam's question before, we've seen other teams where they've had losses over a number of years, and psychologically it's taken a big toll on the player group, especially the younger players. Is there a concern that could be happening here, where it has been year upon year upon year?
I'm not really sure of the teams you're talking about. Like, I've seen a lot of teams in my history where you have periods of a journey of a football club where you lose, they become premiership teams eventually and have premiership players. I saw that happen at Richmond Footy Club. I saw that happen early at St Kilda when I started there, and some of the guys that I played with were involved in years of losing. So I'm not exactly sure what teams you're referring to, but I think it's all about learning and understanding that we're in a position at the moment, but every time we take the park or training, we have to keep trying to get better.
With the younger players, what are you kind of trying to do to keep their spirits high and not let them get too down?
We have the best job in the world. Like, we're not. We don't have to go out and dig holes every day. That's really the hard work, or save babies, or we got the best job in the world. So although we want to win and we're not happy with where we're at, we're really fortunate we get to be in this position.
The players said that maybe some of the younger blokes don't understand what it takes to be an AFL player in terms of training, workloads and that sort of thing. What did you think of those comments?
I think it's for our whole program. We're working our way through what is the standard needed for AFL football and to be able to compete and win. And we're looking forensically at everything. We're working our way through our whole program. We have a young list. So that's real, that's where we're at. We're working hard to improve these players, and our senior players and our leadership have a really important role within that. And these guys are really determined to help us move forward.
Oh, well, and you're talking about having an eye to the future. Top draft pick, haven't seen him yet. Is he dealing with a long-term illness at all? Because he was sick again on the weekend. What's the sort of situation there with Bo without being, too personal?
Sure, yeah, no, he's not dealing with a long-term illness. That's not the case. He's just unfortunately had a couple of times where he hasn't been able to play. But we're really confident we're getting on top of that now. And Bo will be able to train and play this week and really progress and push himself forward.
Is there a bit of an ETA as to when he might be able to get a bit more of a look in playing at AFL level?
Look, not really, to be honest, because it's hard to answer that question, but he just needs to put a couple of weeks together of continuity of training and playing. Bo's going to be a long-term player for our football club. I know I'm in a rush, everyone's in a rush to get him in, and he's going to be a great player for a long time. So when we look back in 10 or 15 years on Bo's journey, I don't think we'll remember the couple of weeks he was sick at the start of his career.
Have you had a bit of a look at Essendon, or is it more of a focus on what you need out of your guys?
Yeah, both. We've just done our Essendon preview now. We're going to keep really consistent in the way we prepare for games and review games. So yeah, we've planned for Essendon, and we're certainly going after our game as well.
Take a look at Essendon. Do you see any sort of spots that you might want to exploit?
Look, there's always things you find in each team every week where you've got areas you think other opposition are vulnerable, and areas you have to manage in opposition. So Bombers have got some great hands around the ball. Their contest work's really strong, and we understand that there's parts of their game we have to stop, and there's things that we think we can exploit as well.
Do you look to change anything, Andrew, with that contested ball element out of the weekend and ramp that up in the training?
See the tackle bags out here. We'll get there's a bit of training we'll do today, and there's no easy fix for that. It is about, footy's a really simple game. You have to get your fundamentals really strong, and we weren't in that space last week. So we're going to train it. We've reviewed it really strongly. We're going to continue to train it and support our players that we get our fundamentals right. That sets up the game.
Do you back the young midfielders to have another crack in it?
Yeah, we'll just continue to back all of our players. So whoever we pick each week, and players in our Waffle program are working on the same things as well. So it is a simple game, footy. You have to get your fundamentals right first.
So that record low total for contested ball, that stung a bit, did it?
Yeah, I think you saw that with Hoffy. That was a big part of that reaction last week. And it's never a state you want to be involved with. But we've got to get better, and we understand that. We're going to train it, we review it, and away we go.
You don't normally sort of have a run with or tag, but is Merritt someone that you might think about?
Well, for sure. He's one of the best players in the competition. Can play multiple spots. So we'll have plans if he gets off the chain, like we do every week, and every coaching committee in the league will have plans for players like Zach Merritt. So we'll go through it in our match committee this afternoon where we're going to start the game.
Is it a tough balance getting exposure and development for the young guys in the midfield compared to having enough senior bodies around them so they don't sort of get crushed in that contested possession each week?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's absolutely something that's going through our brains every week. We want to help our players improve, but we've got to set them up to succeed as well. So potentially we went too young in the one area last week. Maybe, I'm not really sure, but we think that everybody from last weekend will have learnt some lessons and they'll be better for it, but we need to get better quickly.
And Nat Flynn probably couldn't have stuffed the stat sheet too much more on the waffle over the last couple of weeks. Is it his turn this week?
Yeah, he's been in great form in the last couple of weeks in those waffle games, and that's the expectation of all of our guys, that they're really competing hard for spots. So Flynny's doing well. He hasn't played a lot of footy in the last couple of years, as you guys know, so it's good to see him be able to string a few games together.
We did see Brady go into the midfield, particularly in the last quarter. Was that something that you went into the game with, or was it because of how the contest was panning out?
Look, a bit of both. We've sort of spoken about it a lot over the pre-season. There's potential for Hoffy to become play more positions on the ground, but yeah, in that game, we just thought it was an opportunity to see something different in that last quarter, and I thought he had some nice moments in there.
Yo seems to be stuck on that 4 to 5 week timeline. What's the go there, and how's he been handling that sort of situation?
Yeah, Yeah, unfortunately, just with the higher intensity stuff, he hasn't been able to progress as much as we'd like at the moment. So he is in a little bit of a holding pattern. He's been great around the club. He's been a terrific leader still. He's helping. And the sooner we can get Elliot back on the park, clearly it's going to be better for our team.
When you got the job, you were probably looking at an A-grade midfield of Yo, Kelly, Reid, all at the best. Obviously, Yo's injured, Reid's gone to half-back, and Kelly's just been struggling a bit. What's it been like for you personally, not having access to what potentially could have been a really good midfield there?
Yeah, look, it's the job. This changes quickly, things change quickly. I understand you probably barely ever do you have your best team available at once. Like, that's really unusual that you have that. So we're just going to keep working hard with all of our players to get our mix right and keep improving our footy.
And so it is a bit of getting the mix right, eh? So you're sort of saying you could have gone too young last week and that made it tougher on the whole process.
Oh, I think so. Like, the reality is when you've got players that haven't played much AFL football, the game's difficult, but we're confident that we picked the team that we thought could win the game of football last week, and we're going to do that every week. So whether it means young, old, it actually doesn't matter. We're going to pick the team that we think is most capable of winning that game.
The fast ball movement and game plan that you wanted to sort of implement this year, how do you feel like that's sort of tracking, or has it been hindered a little bit by those fundamentals and contested footy? You sort of spoke about deficiencies earlier.
Yeah, the game's always linked. So I sort of spoke about fast. Maybe it's been overblown a bit. Like, you can't just play fast the whole time. That's not the way we want to play. You've got to pick your moments in the game where you can play fast, where you've been able to penetrate the opposition defence. And funnily enough, we actually got our best looks last week in offence from the back half, but we're just attacking from too far in our defensive 50 too often. So that becomes a challenge. There's been some small signs that we're achieving what we're after, but clearly we've got a long way to go.
You mentioned the inexperience the teams have followed, and that some of the senior players are still, struggling with form. Has that kind of hindered your ability to maybe look to bring some more kids in, given the kind of youth of the team at the moment?
Not really. Like, I think we've been able to bring a fair bit of youth in already. We've been able to expose some guys, even guys like Ruben Jimby and Ryan Marriage. Like, they haven't played in these positions, so neither of them have played as a backman in their careers. Ruben a little bit, but maybe 10 games. So it's not just our first year players that are young. There is some other guys there that we're, even Harley playing as a halfback. So we're exploring archery. We've got a lot of guys in these positions that are learning a lot about what AFL footy is about.